Nnamdi Kanu in today's court put up a very intelligent and brilliant defense for his freedom. Of course, having put it to Justice James Omotoso, the presiding judge over his case, that certain clarifications has to be made on what is he expected to defend, what is offense he should put up defense, and what are the laws he had contravened. Of course, if there must be a defense, there must be laws violated and crimes or charges. You can't just ask somebody to put up defense without any law backing the alleged contradictions or offense. That is quite clear. So the government is incumbent on Justice James Omotoso. He has that obligation to clear his position before he could defend. If you're accusing somebody, oh, you have to defend yourself, you are guilty of what? That is what the court has to establish first. You can't just come and start asking somebody to defend himself. It could be more or less an ambush to defend himself from what perspective, from what angle. We have told you clearly that you should determine the condition for the defense. He said extraordinary renditions has been presented, evidence and two certified copy of the rulings and verdict that was given in the Nigerian Court of Law, the High Court, the IP Court, even to the Supreme Court, validated his position that extraordinary rendition was an illegal act and should not give the government, the federal government of Nigeria, the right to try Nnamdi Kanu. The reason why on 13th of October 2022, a verdict, an overwhelming verdict, a substantive verdict, was ruled by the panel of 6 judges, chief justices. The SAT reviewed the process, the case, and they came up with a verdict that Nnamdi Kanu has no case to answer. Now, you virtually through the back door and the rest of them, forcing on the dock to start defending himself on what ground? On the same ground or count charges which the court and the appellate court of law has discharged and acquitted him. So it is very clear and incumbent on the Justice James Omotoso to determine on what basis, what are the conditions, what are the laws Nnamdi Kanu has broken under international law and the laws of Nigeria. As Nnamdi Kanu has maintained, his only offense was to seek for self-determination, the defense of his people, which remains an inalienable right. Not even Justice James Omotoso has the right to challenge the inalienable rights of Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafrans to self-determination. Justice James Omotoso has no right. In terms of international laws, he should understand better that this is enshrined in the Nigerian law and international laws. Honestly, that is just not even the truth. There are speculations or reports from certain portals, possibly published by Sahara reporters, that there is an alleged plot to sentence Nnamdi Kanu to death or to life imprisonment. How could that be possible? Alleging that King Sarowiwa, the rest of them, was sentenced on November, blah, blah, blah. These are mere propagandas and mere deceptive connotations, of course, demonic-induced news that is spreading, projecting outside there. On what basis should Nnamdi Kanu be even sentenced in the first instance? whereas there are no case against him. The appeal court said so. The Supreme Court affirms that. So who is the lower court, the high court, to say otherwise? And the two certified copies of these judgments are in the Nigerian courts, are filed, documented in the Nigerian Court of Law, in their archives. So they could also reach out and get themselves acquainted if they're claiming they are not in the know or privy to such information. Is that well explained? That is just the case. Some have expressed that whether Nnamdi Kanu has the rights, has the competency, of course, to defend himself. That is his personal opinion and decision. If he has said, I will put up defense for myself, and haven't gone through his file case and found out eventually there was no valid charge against him. So how could you ask someone to put up a defense where there are vegs, there are areas that needed to be cleared? How do you justify his extraordinary rendition? That is a hurdle that James Omotosho and the prosecuting counsel must clear first. How do Nnamdi Kanu brought into Nigeria? Is it through legal means, or is it through gross violations of his fundamental rights? And ever since 2001, has been held behind the dungeon of DSS. A man presumed innocent under the law, not even presumed innocent, tried and, of course, acquitted, discharged by the same court of law. The alleged count charges or allegations bordering on terrorism and whatever incitement has been squashed by the court. Which other evidence or charges did they have against it? That's why I said there is no valid charge against me. You can't resurrect. Of course, the case that have been set aside, determined already, you have the certified true copy. That under the Nigerian constitution should be considered as double jeopardy, and which no accused, discharged and acquitted should be allowed to suffer for a case that he has been freed from. He has been exonerated. That is just what they are trying to do, trying to make Nnamdi Kanu guilty, to impose that guilt on him, even without any definite evidence to nail him, just to please certain political elites and gladiators. Whatever be the case, the world is watching, and not just the world is watching. People are interested, the Igbos are interested in what is happening to their family, to their brother, their uncle, to their son. Sadly, the conspiracy of silence is what deafens the ear of an observer. You've never heard the northern elites or clerics calling for justice. They are saying Nnamdi Kanu should be crucified. Everybody was watching as the perceived injustice and persecution of Nnamdi Kanu continues. These are the same people who shouted, who threatened the existence of Nigeria, the Fulanis. When Badejo was in custody, they said, if you don't release him, we are going to burn down Nigeria. Our militias and militias are everywhere. They are running out of patience. Release him now. Family run and discharge, squash all the count charges against him. Is it because he's a Fulani man? The sultans, everybody was shouting, calling, release him, there is tension. And they came and said, in the interest of national peace or security, you release him. But Nnamdi Kanu is being heard, even when the court of law, the highest court in Nigeria, have discharged and acquitted him. And the world is watching. You subjugated him. You tortured him psychologically, emotionally, threatened his life. You beat him up. He could not be taken care of. Of recent, we've seen how he's been struggling with his health and the rest of them. Could even his legal counsels have confirmed on several occasions. It is rather unfortunate. They are watching. The same people who said release Badejo, if Badejo is not released, heaven will fall, Nigeria will collapse. They are the same people saying that Nnamdi Kanu does not deserve to be released because he's an Igbo man. They are the one who deserve to live. So anybody who says such is a terrorist. A terrorist. That's somebody who has been tried, discharged, and acquitted by a competent court of law. Should not be released. Should be hanged on the gallows and be crucified. Why the main criminals are being celebrated on the streets of Lagos? Imagine the audacity of Sheikh Gumi, the audacity and boldness to dare the government suggests otherwise. That the government hand is in this insecurity, as one of the lawyers in Bebe argues, that you can't imagine the audacity. The boldness of Sheikh Gumi coming to ask the U.S. should negotiate with Boko Haram, with Al-Qaeda, with ISIS, with Islamic State or with West African province, with an acclaimed terror group that the U.S., the defender of human fundamental rights, the high defender of human fundamental rights, should negotiate with terrorists killing Nigerian citizens. Gumi is saying that the United States should negotiate with them. That bombing them will not solve problem. Are you getting it? The same Gumi is asking for Nnamdi Kanu to be jailed or even killed. The same man who is saying that Boko Haram should be preserved, pampered, and given, of course, presidential treatment or whatever treatment that they deserve to be recognized and paid heavily to drop their guns, or given certain consideration, possibly, or produce the next president, as one of the military or whatever GOC have said, that a repentant Boko Haram has an opportunity to become the president of Nigeria. Unlike any other Nigerian from the eastern region. You can imagine a Boko Haram. He's been turbaned as emir, as traditional district head, and the rest of them. Being given commissioner and the rest of them. Now they are threatening the existence of Nigeria. Daring Tinubu's administration to bring it to their knees, to its knees. It is quite unfortunate. Very disturbing development, honestly. But only time will prove otherwise. Whether you are calling to jail Nnamdi Kanu or do that, nothing should ever happen to him. Nothing should ever happen to Nnamdi Kanu, who is innocent. So you want to condition him, giving him 24 hours to put up defense, otherwise he will lose his right. You can imagine. Lose his right of what? His rights of liberty, of freedom. Even when the court uphold his innocency, Omotosho wants Nnamdi Kanu to lose his right so that he could jail him and please his benefactors, please those paying his salary. No, I mean, we need to understand what exactly is going on. The audience, the masses, are interested in what is going on. Anyway, that is by the way. Of course, let's have your own opinion expressed via the comment section regarding this update. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to this channel, and as well, turn on the notification button so that you can get a video once it's been uploaded. It's an interesting moment, of course, to be here to continue the in-depth analysis of events. It is quite very unfortunate that those who should be cooling behind the bars are the ones with expressing such level of audacity, boldness, daring the government, daring everyone. What is behind their backings? Who is behind their backing? That is quite interesting. Everyone must understand this. That the terror, the same way Buhari, of course, paid $100 million to Afghanistan, where the Taliban took over and the rest of them, built railway to Niger Republic, while the indigenous communities, the main Nigerian population, are wallowing in abject poverty. The common resources of the people are being carted away. I mean, that is incredibly unbelievable. Well, of course, the court has adjourned the case until 7th of November, being Friday. We'll keep our eyes crossed, of course, as we continue to watch what unfolds in these dramatic events and moments. Thanks for watching.